What is up, YouTube? Doomwake here. Welcome to our second ever video on the channel. Today, we are going to be playing some modern red-black Prowess. This is actually the deck that I used to top 4 the Mana Traders Series monthly event last month, ultimately losing in the semifinals to Amulet Titan. The reason I played this deck is I do think it is very well positioned in the current format, and I think if you want to sort of break down Modern into a rock, paper, scissors, if you will, I think there's Prowess decks, which groups all of them together, mono red, black red, blue red. And I think there are also big mana strategies, Amulet Titan, Tron, Eldrazi Tron, and then Uro decks. So I think those are the sort of the three pillars of the format, Uro, Prowess, and big mana. And I think of the three, I like this deck specifically. I like it against all the Uro decks. I think specifically the card Cling to Dust gives you a huge edge against Uro because you have a very easy way to deal with their threats. And for the most part, outside of the Scapeshift version of the Uro piles, they're pretty threat light. They don't have access to a lot of actual win conditions. And Cling to Dust being such an efficient card that can answer Uro and further Uros down the road gives you a pretty big edge in that matchup. And as far as the other Prowess decks concerned, I think this particular configuration is pretty heavily favored against the other Prowess decks as well. If you think about it, both of your decks have a lot of spot removal, right? Lightning Bolt, Seal of Fire, etc., etc. And because you have more sources of card advantage if the game goes long, Abbot of Carol Keep, Lurrus, Kroxa, Kolaghan's Command, things like that. If you're trading off 1-for-1 in the first few turns of the game, if you can get to, say turn 4 or 5 at a stable life total, you should be able to pretty easily take over the game from there. And you even have ways to rebuy Lurrus when they inevitably kill it. You have Kolaghan's Command and Unearth. So I think you're a huge favorite against the Uro decks and a pretty significant favorite against the other versions of Prowess that exist. Now, the issue is big mana, right? This deck, so essentially the sacrifice that you make for giving yourself more inevitability and more endgame is you sacrifice the speed, right? And that is what makes blue-red and mono-red, the other versions of Prowess, such a huge favorite against big mana, is they have a more consistent turn 3 kill, right? Because they have four Manamorphosis, 4 Lava Darts. They're much better at killing on turn 3. And that's the trade-off. When you're less good at killing on turn 3, you're worse against big mana, because that's how you beat big mana, is kill them before they get a bunch of mana. Seems easy, right? Now, because you are a little bit worse against big mana, you have to make up for that in the sideboard. That's why you see we have quite a few cards over here dedicated to the big mana matchups. All of these, these 10 cards, these are all going to come in, and most likely the Kroxa. We're sort of gearing our game 1 deck towards Uro and other Prowess decks, and we're fixing up the quote-unquote fixing up the big mana matchups in the sideboard. So we have a lot of cards that are going to come in. So hopefully we'll go ahead and see how that plays out today. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started with the league, and I'll see you guys back for round 1. What is up, YouTube? Here we are for round 1 of the Modern League with Black-Red Prowess. Looks like we lost the die roll, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. So let's reveal our Lurrus and see what we have. Alright, so again, we are on the draw. This hand, to me, looks pretty good. I mean, we have a turn 1 threat. The unfortunate part about this hand is that we have this basic swamp instead of another red source, so we can't actually do the bobble trick. Like, hypothetically, if we wanted to play this on turn 1, we can't. Let's say we bobble, see a card that we want. We can't play basic swamp, keep the top card, and still play Swift Spear. That being said, I mean, this hand is still pretty good, covers a large percentage of the format. It's going to be a little weak to big mana. Again, that's just one of our weaker matchups, and just being on the draw certainly doesn't help with that matchup. But we're going to go ahead and keep either way, and let's get started. I think, ideally, what I want to draw with this hand is a Thoughtseize. I think that would be a good one, because that's a card I can actually play on turn 1 with the Bobble Trick. Okay, so now that we drew a Bloodstain there, we have to kind of think of how we want to sequence these cards. So what we could do is we could just go Foothills, Basic Mountain, Swift Spear, Mishra's Bauble. Attack for 2. Given they played a Wooded Foothills, there's a high likelihood that they're a Lightning Bolt deck, if I had to guess. It could be Dredge, but... So, we kind of have to think here of how we want to sequence this. Alternatively, we could just Bauble Fetch, and if there's a good card on top, we could just hold the Swift Spear. But, I mean, given the fact that we don't necessarily know... I mean, Wooded Foothills is a large range of decks. Could be, I mean, unlikely that it's Infect, because Infect, without a 1-drop, they did keep a 7-card hand. But, I mean, it could be a Scapeshift deck, it could be a Burn deck, it could be... There's just so many different things that it could be. So I think what I'm going to do is just crack Foothills for Basic Mountain and cast a Swift Spear and then a Bauble. And then we'll kind of go from there. And I'm not going to Bauble yet, because ideally what I'm going to do is I'm likely going to Bauble them. There's a chance that I end up saving the Bauble for my turn 2 when I can use the Bauble with the fetch land. But we'll see if the Swift Spear dies. Maybe we can get some more information from what land they fetch to potentially, you know, decide whether or not we want to hold this Bauble or not. Like, for example, let's say we Bauble ourselves and see a Fatal Push. We don't necessarily know. They could be a Prowess deck where we want to draw Fatal Push, or they could be a Sakura Tri-Builder Ramp deck where we definitely don't want to draw Fatal Push. So, you know, we don't necessarily know what we want yet. Alright, Stomping Ground Lightning Bolt is what I... Oh, no Lightning Bolt. Okay. Interesting. Stomping Ground tapped. So now I have to figure out if we want to crack this Bauble now. Ideally... Well, I guess we can wait till their turn regardless. Because ideally we would want another threat to play next turn, because we kind of don't... Like a threat or a Thoughtseize. For example, if they're playing a ramp deck, we kind of want to try and dig for a Thoughtseize. So I think I'm gonna cantrip the Bauble and lose the Scry action, but I'm gonna do it on their upkeep in case they're playing Jund. Alright, so they're Life from the Loam. Okay, so they're definitely playing Dredge. Let's hope they don't have a Reunion. Although they kept 7, so it's unlikely they don't. Looks like they do. Alright, so they discarded Stinkweed and the Loam that we knew about. So they dredged Imp. I think they missed on the 3rd dredge. Let me just pull up the game log here. Looks like... Let me just pull this back up. So... Mills... Yep, so there's 4, 3... Oh no, 4, 3, 3. Okay, so they hit another Loam. This is not going well for us. And they have 2 Ghouls and a Narcomoeba. Interesting. So what I really want to find now is a Lava Dart. Sort of clear out some of these blockers. As of right now, they don't have another Dredger in their graveyard, so it's possible that they might be on... I mean, obviously they could have another Cathartic Reunion, but they could also just be on the quote-unquote slow Dredge plan. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Soulscar Mage and Fatal Push the Narcomoeba, attack for 2. I think that gives me the best shot, because I could cast Metamorphose now, but I kind of want to save it for the extra Prowess trigger, because I think I'm going to need a very big turn in order to win this game. So we'll just attack for 2, we'll take 6 down to 7, and just kind of pray, honestly. I mean, you know, they had a pretty good start, and... What's our alternative line? I mean, we could Metamorphose into, you know, Push plus Bolt, which isn't the worst, but again, that we lose a lot of damage with the Soulscar Mage, and we kind of have to make up the damage because off of these Creeping Chills. So I think I'm going to just take my initial line of pushing this Narcomoeba, Playing a Soul Scar and just kind of hoping for the best. This matchup's a little rough when you're on the draw and don't have a Thoughtseize for their Reunion or a Cling to Dust. Oh, they had the Salvage. I missed the Salvage. Okay. I had said earlier they didn't have a Dredger, but they did. They had the Dagmar Salvage. Looks like they have another Reunion here, which is going to be pretty bad for us. They played the Salvage first. Interesting. I guess that means they probably don't have Bloodghast in their deck. Oh, they're Oxing. Okay, I see. I see. So they dredged. It's really hard to figure out. Discard. 2, 3, 4. So that's 5. That's an Imp, a Loam, and a Thug. Okay. So they didn't hit a Conflagrate yet. So if we take 6, next turn, Manamorphose, Lightning Bolt this. I can't imagine that trading is going to be a winning line. I think we have to find a Lava Dart. If we find a Lava Dart, we might have a shot. It's unlikely at this point. Alright, so let's Manamorphose for... I think we want to add red. I know it cuts us off of casting black spells without shocking, but ideally, like, even if we hit a Cling to Dust, I don't think that's going to be quite enough, because they have a second Ox anyways. So I think we really just need to hit a Lava Dart. So if we draw Lava Dart, we go Bolt this, Bolt them, Dart them twice. That's 2, 4... 5, 6, 7, 8. Because that's 4 spells. That would be 16, 17, 18. That would be exactly lethal if we hit a Lava Dart. I did the math right? This would be 2. And that'd be 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s. That's 12, 13, 14. It's only 17, excuse me. So we only have 17 if we hit a Lava Dart. Don't know if there's a way out at this point. We can bobble ourselves to try and find a Lava Dart on their turn to kill the ghouls. That might be our best shot. So let's cast Bobble. Thoughtseize. Thoughtseize is certainly not going to cut it. I'm going to fetch a basic mountain. Again, even if I draw Cling to Dust off the Bobble, I don't think that's going to be good enough, because we're going to bolt this, and they're going to have 2 Oxes in their graveyard anyways. They also have a Helix, which they can cast, because they can cast Loam off of these 2 lands, get back Sacred Foundry, and play Sacred Foundry. So they can Helix us next turn. In that case, we might actually have to bolt these 2, but then we're still dead to the Helix if we attack. I think we have to get very lucky to win this game. We're just way too far behind. Like, hypothetically, I could just not cast the bolt, or I could just hold back one of these creatures to go trade here, bolt this. Could go bolt one of these now, attack with 1 creature, trade with the other one, then we're not dead to the Helix. But I just don't really think that's a winning line. I think, we have to get very lucky. If we draw Lava Dart at this Bobble trigger, I think we're in pretty good shape. We get to kill both of these. They can Helix us to 3. We did not. Unfortunate. Yeah, I mean, again, what I could have... The other line was to bolt one of these, attack with just 1 creature, and block the other one. But then they're at 13. We lose one of our creatures. They just get back Ox. Yeah, we're dead. Curious to see what our next card was, just to see if that might have been... Cast Manamorphose. Probably cast the Abbot. I think we still ultimately would have lost that game, but that was very tough. They had a very good start, and we couldn't really catch up here. So let's go to sideboarding. I mean, we certainly want these Nihil Spell Bombs. Now, when I played against Dredge twice in the Swiss of the Mana Traders event, and I actually did bring in Kiln Fiend both times. I think it is quite good against them, just because the nice thing about Kiln Fiend is a lot of times when they quote-unquote go off, as you saw that game, they put Narcomoeba and two creatures, two other Silver Smoke Ghouls into play. A lot of their creatures outside of Narcomoeba, the turn that they enter the battlefield can't block, whether it's Bloodghast literally can't block, and then Amalgam and Ghoul both come into play tapped. So there are spots where you can just have a turn 2 Kiln Fiend, even if they do a bunch of stuff on their turn 2 and put some creatures into play. Most of them can't block. If you can kill their one or two Narcomoebas that they have, you might just be able to present a lethal attack with Kiln Fiend. So I do think I want Kiln Fiend as well. Kolaghan's Command is very bad. Again, you don't want to be giving them a choice of a card that they want to discard. That's, you cast Kroxa or Kolaghan's Command, they're just going to discard a Dredger. So you don't want cards like that. I believe Unearth is a little bit too slow for this matchup. And then we have one more cut. So, the last cut, you want to keep in the Manamorphoses and the Lava Darts because you're bringing in Kiln Fiend, you want to give yourself a little bit more of the explosive potential that those two cards provide. So you definitely don't want to cut those. The options for cuts here, I think, are the 4th Thoughtseize and the 3rd Seal of Fire. I think Seal of Fire is a little bit worse because it doesn't play nice with Kiln Fiend. It doesn't actually trigger it. And I think on the play, Thoughtseize is actually one of your best cards because, again, you can just take their Cathartic Reunion, and the slow Dredge game plan is not going to be good enough against cards like Cling to Dust and Nihil Spellbomb. So I think I'm going to keep all my Thoughtseizes and just trim a Seal of Fire here. And I believe we are going to run that. So let's do that. Alright, so back here on the play for game 2 against Dredge. We're going to go ahead and choose to play first. Okay, so let's see what this hand is. This hand is a little awkward. So what we could do with this hand is crack fetch Thoughtseize to take their Reunion. Again, we can't really bobble trick because we're going to turn 1 Thoughtseize almost no matter what. I mean, we definitely want a creature with this hand. Kiln Fiend or any of the 1-drops are acceptable. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play Bloodstained Mire, Crack Fur, Blood Crypt, Thoughtseize my opponent, and then we'll see if we want to cast this Bauble or not. I am going to keep this hand. Worst case scenario, we can just play an Abbot on turn 2 as our quote-unquote threat. Ideally, I would want to save the Abbot, but honestly, in a matchup like this, you're not really trying to get an extra card off of this. It's, you're just trying to kill them as quickly as possible. It's this, you don't necessarily want the game to go long. It looks like they went ahead and mulliganed to 5. So hopefully their 5-card hand is weak to Thoughtseize. Hopefully it's not just 2 lands and 3 Dredgers and we're forced to Thoughtseize a Dredger. That would be a disaster. Alright, what do they have? Interesting. 2 Cathartics, a Helix, and 2 lands. I'm certainly going to take a Cathartic. No point in taking a Helix. It's actually just more beneficial for that to be in their graveyard. Alright, so I'm going to play a Bauble. And I'm going to Bauble on their upkeep. Just want to cycle this Bauble again. They drew an Amalgam, so not a Dredger. That's good. Hopefully we just find a Thoughtseize. Another Abbot. So because I have a backup Abbot, I'm okay deploying the first one and not getting the immediate value off of it, because next turn, assuming they don't draw a Dredger, we can potentially Abbot into a Thoughtseize next turn. And I just want to get some pressure on the board. I want to sort of try and close this game out before they, you know, find the missing piece that they need. Looks like they're going to fetch into turn here. Makes sense. They don't really want to draw any lands. Looking to dodge a Dredger here. It looks like we did not do that. Okay. So we know they have Helix, Loam, and 2 unknowns. Cling to Dust was a very good draw. It's a little awkward here because if we Abbot with the 2 lands we have in play, hypothetically trying to hit a land off the top, if we don't hit a land, we actually can't cast Cling to Dust. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, how relevant is keeping up Cling to Dust this turn versus, you know, necessarily do we even need the 4th mana source at this point? I think given the fact that, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and play the land first. You know, we might end up missing a land off of this, but I think ultimately I think that's fine. Now do I want to give up a Seal of Fire to hold up Cling to Dust? The thing is, they've already gone through 3 reunions, and we know 2 of the 4 cards in their hand. It's unlikely that they have a 4th reunion. That's really the only card I would want to hold up Cling to Dust for, because if they just cast Life from the Loam and pass, I can just cling the Life from the Loam on my turn, so I think I'm going to risk it, because the only card that really punishes me is the 4th copy of Cathartic Reunion, because they don't have any Dredgers in the graveyard, and they don't have an Ox, so... I guess hypothetically they could draw Merchant of the Veil. Merchant, discard the Loam. Okay, it looks like they have Merchant here on their upkeep. They might end up getting punished here. Oh, they have Lightning Axe. That's also a reason. Okay, that's fine. As long as they don't hit an Ox here. And they did. Well, it looks like we decided to take a bit more of an aggressive line and ended up getting pretty punished. Unfortunate. Oh, they're casting Loam and not getting back the Ox? I guess if they get back the Ox, they would have to exile the Amalgam, and... I mean, this is obviously very good for us. I'm not gonna look a gift horse in the mouth. Alright, they have an Amalgam, that's fine. Okay, so now we have to figure out how we want to go about our business here. This is going to be a little bit of a tough turn. Helix, School. They currently cannot cast the Helix. I think the scariest card in their graveyard right now for sure is the Ox. It's the card that allows them to go the widest. So I think what I'm going to do is Lava Dart the Narcomoeba, attack for 3. I can't kill them, right? Lava Dart here, that's 3. Flashback Lava Dart is another 2. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I can put them to 2. Exile the Ox and put them to 2. Make sure I did my math right. 1, 2. And then that's 1, 2, 3, 4 Prowess triggers. So that's 6. Half of the Lava Dart is 7. This is 10. This is 12. So we cannot quite kill them. It's tough, too, because if we end up clinging the Ox, they can Helix our Abbot to get back the Ghoul. I guess what we could do is we could actually bolt our own abbot in response, or excuse me, seal our own abbot. Okay, I think I like that. So let's lava dart this to clear the blocker. Don't want them. Hypothetically, I could just attack first. They block, I lava dart them, but I only end up getting in 1 damage that way, so this gets in more damage. I think I'm going to cling now because I really need the prowess trigger. And I can ultimately end up clinging again next turn. Alright, so let's do that. Let's play our land so we can flash back the cling next turn. Excuse me, escape. And we're going to pass. We're going to really hope they don't hit another Ox off of this loam. They hit Conflagrate. Okay. So now what they can do is they can cast... Ooh. Okay, so they're just going to fetch for the Sacred Foundry. I assume they're casting the Smiting Helix here. And if they cast this Helix, I am going to seal my own abbot so they don't get back the Silver Smoke Ghoul. And I don't really want them gaining 3 life. Am I doing that? Yeah, I am. For sure. Okay, so Helix gets countered. So now they're going to cast Life from the Loam. Okay, that's fine. Now the question we have to ask ourselves is, do we want to cast this Lightning Bolt to kill this prized amalgam? So they have 5 cards in their hand. Ideally on our turn we're going to Cling to Dust to Life from the Loam so they can draw and they can Conflagrate for 6. So we take 3 this turn from the Amalgam, 3 next turn from the Amalgam, plus the 6 from the Conflagrate is 12. So that hypothetically wouldn't kill us. The reason I would consider that I want to hold the Bolt is if we just draw another Bolt, we have 7 damage. So I think I'm going to hold off on the Bolt here. Okay, so now we have hypothetically 6 damage. Still a bit short. Alright, I'm going to Cling to Dust the Loam this turn. Again, it's their only Dredger. So I'm going to want to do this anyways. And let's leave... We don't need to leave the seal because we have a second seal. I'm going to leave the Dart in the Bauble. I think those are the... The Dart we want to leave, obviously, just because it's, you know, our path to victory at this point is likely just burning them out. Okay, I don't believe that I'm going to pay 2 life to cast one of these red spells here. I am going to play this tap, though. I'm just going to pass. So now, hypothetically, they can't dredge anything. Okay, so they're going to take a natural draw step. Again, they can deal us 9 damage here, 6 with the Conflagrate and 3 from the Amalgam, but that's not quite lethal. It is bad if they have an Ox in their hand, because then they can just flash back the Ox. Okay. They milled a Creeping Chill. That is not good for us. Because that not only gains them 3 life, but it's also going to get back the Silver Smoke Ghoul. Let's see what they're doing. It looks like a conflagrate here. Alright, conflagrate for 4. That resolves. So they're going to put me to 5. Oh, they discarded another helix. It's not good. Not looking good here. So we're going to go to 2. We're going to end up having to kill their creatures, for sure. So I guess what we can do is... Oh, we're dead to Creeping Chill no matter what we do. So let's put Luris in our hand. This is tough. I mean, I could cast the Luris, but if I cast the Luris, I'm actually forced to just trade with this. So I think what I'm going to do is just put Luris in my hand. I'm going to Lava Dart this now so they can't sack it to draw a card. And we're just going to hope they don't hit another Conflagrate. I'm just going to bolt this now. I'm going to end up having to do it anyways. Guess I'll cast this seal in case they have Bloodghast. You never know. Alright, we need them to brick. An Archamoeba? I think we can beat an Archamoeba. Yeah, they get back the Amalgam. They dredged the salvage. Okay, they get the Amalgam back. It's acceptable. Drew a fetch. So the fetch allows us to cling to dust, but we can't Luris and cling. What we could do is we could kill the Narcomoeba. Cling to dust a creature. We would go to 1, then back up to 4 off of the cling. Alternatively, we could just seal fire this. Actually, I think what our best line is seal the Amalgam, cast Luris, flashback, or cast the seal again, kill the Amalgam, take 1 from the Narcomoeba, go to 1. And then next turn we can attack with Luris, go back up to 4, crack the foothills, cling to dust, and then we should be good to go from there. I really just don't think we can afford to trade off this Luris here, so I think I'm gonna take that line. And they have nothing in their graveyard worth noting here. To worry a bit about time. So let's kill the Amalgam. Again, I think no matter what line we took, we were dead to a chill or a well, actually, I don't know if we're dead to flipping over a Conflagrate. Alright, they did hit the chill. That was a rough game. Not sure what we could have done there. Yeah, we were kind of breaking off there. Yeah, that was an interesting game. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay on that. I think there might have been something I could have done there. That was just a very tough game. But yeah, Dredge gets there, so we'll see you guys back for round 2. What's up, YouTube? We are back for round number 2 of our Modern League with Red Black Prowess. Looks like we won the die roll here, so let's go ahead and choose to be on the play. Let's see what we got. Alright, we have an excellent opening hand here. Multiple threats, Seal of Fire, potentially an Abbot to get us an extra card. So this is certainly going to be a keep here. Looks like our opponent mulliganed to 6. And we are off to the races. So, question here is which one drop do we want to lead with? In general, you want to lead with Soulscar Mage first, I believe, because it's tough to say because it really depends on the matchup, right? I think in a general sense, I usually like leading on Soulscar. There are some matchups where the extra text on Soulscar Mage is very relevant. It looks like this one might not be one of those matchups. Specifically, green decks that have larger creatures that you can just start putting -1/-1 counters on their creatures. Alright, so I'm just going to play Swift Spear and a Seal of Fire. Try and wait a turn to get my extra card out of the Abbot. Attack for 2. Let's see what they got. Remove this draw step stop. Okay, looks like they are blue-red. That is acceptable. Okay, no Manamorphose Stormwing. That's a good sign. Okay, so now we're kind of in the same spot in the last match. We had a similar situation where we had a question of whether or not we should play our land first. This game I expect to go a little bit longer, so I think I would rather just have the land off the Abbot. It's not even clear that I would want to cast Thoughtseize here. Okay, we hit a Bauble, so that's good. We're just going to play our land. I'll go ahead and pass, and I'm going to crack this Bauble on their upkeep to get some more information about what's going on over there. They revealed a Gut Shot. Okay. Well, they can Gut Shot plus Stormwing if they have that. Looks like they have an Opt. And they bottomed. And a Stormwing. Okay. They went bottom and top. Let's see what we draw off the Bauble. Interesting. So this is a bit of a tough turn here. So we know they have 3 cards in hand. We know one of them is a Gut Shot. Now what we could do is we could Kolaghan's Command to deal 2 to the Stormwing, return probably Soulscar Mage, and then we could Seal of Fire the Stormwing to deal the other points of damage. That would kill the Stormwing through the Gut Shot we know about. Well, I could actually also just cast the Soulscar Mage before activating the Seal of Fire, so that if they have Mutagenic Growth, that's the card I'm trying to play around. Mutagenic Growth is the worst case scenario, and if I played the Soulscar first, they would still make their Stormwing a 1/1 because they would group Mutagenic Growth this. The Seal would put 2 -1/-1 counters here. The question is, do we want to attack first? Because if we just play our Shock Land and cast Kolaghan's Command, they're likely just going to Gut Shot this in response to the Prowess trigger. And again, if we're trying to play around Mutagenic Growth, we don't want to cast the Cling to pump this. Maybe that's worth it, though. Because that would save the Abbot. Even if they have Gut Shot plus Mutagenic Growth, that means they have this and 1 card in their hand, and we'd be at 16. I think that's okay, actually. So let's do this. Let's Shock in the Blood Crypt, because we want to leave Black Source open to potentially cast this Cling. So let's go return, deal 2 damage. And I imagine they're going to put the Gut Shot on the stack. They did not cast the Gut Shot. Well, that's good for me. So now I'm just going to play the Soul Scar and then seal this. For sure. Okay, that worked out as good as humanly possible, I think. Now they have no threats. We have 2, and we still have a Kling and an Abbot in our hand. This game should be looking good for us. We know they have a gut shot that can kill our Abbot. That's fine, though. So it looks like they potentially have Bolt and the gut shot. Or they're just casting the gut shot. Okay. That leads me to believe that their last card is not great. Oh, they're going to gut shot the Soul Scar Mage. Unless they have Lava Dart? Okay. I see. So they're going to have a 4/4 dragon with no cards in hand. Okay. Can live with that. Let's go ahead and draw Fatal Push, why don't we? Not quite. So... Okay, let's start off with an Abbot. Actually, do we want to Lurrus this turn? If we put Lurrus in our hand this turn, we're kind of taking the rest of the turn off, and maybe we can still cast Kling, go to 11. The next turn we can play Lurrus, Seal of Fire, but that doesn't even really take care of this. I think I'm supposed to Abbot here. Okay, we're going to cast that. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to make black or red-black. If I make black, I can actually cantrip this Klingadust into Fatal Push, whereas if I make red-black, I can't necessarily do that. So it's kind of close here. I do have a lot more red cards. I think I'm just going to make red-black. It's kind of awkward to cast this, because then if I hit Fatal Push, I can't actually cast it because I have a tap land. It does potentially give me outs to kill them next turn, and we're not dead to a Bolt. Bolt's only 8 damage, so I think I'm just actually just going to play this Abbot. I'd rather just play this Cliffs. Although, I can hold up Klingadust if I do it like this. Okay, that's probably worth it. Okay, let's see what they draw. Okay, no blocks. Looks like they bricked. Alright, so I'm just gonna thin my deck a little bit, get a tapped Blood Crypt. Lightning Bolt, so that would be 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's not quite lethal unless we hit an untapped land, because we would need 6 mana to cast all of these, this, Escape, and Bolt, which we don't quite have. So let's go ahead and cantrip this Cling to Dust first. Doesn't matter all that much what we target. Okay, that should be good enough. Let's go ahead and crack this first. Let's go ahead. 5, 10. So even if they have a counter spell, it's still lethal. Something like a Spell Pierce. I don't know if they play cards like that. Let's go ahead and bolt them. So now, if we bolt them, and they potentially drew a bolt, I think it's more likely that they drew a bolt than a Spell Pierce. I don't think they really play Spell Pierce main deck. Yeah. Because if we cast the bolt there first, they can respond to the Prowess trigger, kill our Abbot, and they would only take 8 damage and they would go to 1, and they could potentially kill us if they drew a burn spell. So I think it's a little bit safer that way. I don't think that these decks would ever play Spell Pierce main deck. It's much more likely that they drew a bolt instead of a Spell Pierce. So once they let the first Prowess trigger resolve, just let damage happen, let them go to 1, and then cast the bolt. It's much safer, I believe. Okay. So, some blue-red Prowess. We have Nihil Spellbomb. I believe I want... Actually, maybe not want these Spell Bombs. Braid for sure. Brutality for sure. I think that might be it. I think Croxa might be a little too slow. Kolaghan's Command, I believe, is a little bit too slow as well. And I think the last card I want to cut is maybe one Thoughtseize on the draw. I like the Lava Darts because they're actually good at sort of protecting your creatures against their burn spells. I like all the other removal spells as well. The Unearth is good because, again, they have a ton of removal. I think I might want K-Command on the play, but I think on the draw it's just a little bit too slow. So we're gonna go ahead and run this. Alright, so let's reveal our Lurrus. This hand could be anything. This is a really interesting hand. Really interesting. I think I am going to keep it. When you have Bauble plus Fetchland, it's essentially it's kind of almost worth like a card and a half, you know, because it obviously replaces itself, but you get to figure out exactly what you want. So I'm gonna Bauble myself. Am I? Let's think this through here. Ideally, I want a threat. Although, we kind of have to prepare ourselves for getting turn 2 Stormwinged. So ideally, we would want to draw a Lightning Bolt in that case. So I think what I'm going to do is just cast all these Baubles, play a fetch land, and pass. And then we'll see what they do. Because our Bauble Scry can, you know, change depending on what they do this turn. So we don't necessarily want to fire these off now. Looks like they're casting an Opt. I'm actually going to look at their card right now to see, because I get to see what... Okay, so the top card is a Mutagenic Growth. Let's see if they want it or not. That gives me more information on what's in their hand. So they bottom a Mutagenic Growth. So that to me signifies they don't already have the Stormwing lined up, because if they could play turn 2 Storming, they would probably want the Mutagenic Growth as protection for it. Because my only answer to it is Lightning Bolt. So I would guess either they're missing a land or the Stormwing. Looks like they may have found what they were missing, though. Okay. So I'm actually going to let the Scry resolve. And then if they put a card on top, I may Bauble them. I'm still going to Bauble myself, for sure. Alright, they put one on top and one on the bottom. Let's see what they topped. Topped a mountain. Okay. And we are drawing a Seal of Fire. Interesting. So they did bottom a Mutagenic Growth, which signifies to me that... I mean, it could mean that they already had one and just didn't want to draw a second one. I mean, I think I still have to draw the Seal of Fire to give myself the opportunity to potentially kill this. Breed. Interesting. This would be a little bit easier if I had a Soul Scar Mage. I think I'm just going to abrade this. Uses my mana a little bit more efficiently. I'm just going to get a basic Swamp. I think my life total is a little bit more precious this game. And they may have a Gut Shot, they may have a Mutagenic Growth, but... Okay, they did have a Gut Shot. That is not good for us. Alright, casting an Opt. And remember, they did top the mountain that they just drew, so... Okay, that makes sense. This game's going to be a little tough now. This is usually how you end up losing to the blue-red Prowess deck, is when they're on the play with turn 2 and turn 3 Entity. It's pretty hard to beat it, obviously, because Fatal Push doesn't kill that card. I think if they have another free spell, we're pretty toast here. Yeah, that's not going to help. Alright, so let's cast the Seal. We have to try and kill these. We can't really afford to play an Abbot this turn. Just gonna get 11, 3. They do with their Scry. Bottom, top. Get Blood Crypt here. I'd go to 11, and then 2 bolts. 2 bolts would kill me. Probably can't afford to do that. Although I have so many black cards in my hand, I think I have to get a Blood Crypt here. Just try and kill this while they're tapped out. I don't know if it's going to work, but here we are. Okay, that did work. Alright. Pass a turn. Probably end up gaining 3 off of the Cling if I had to guess. It's because our life total is a little bit in jeopardy here. Okay, or we're probably just going to Fatal Push that. Okay, so that puts us to 9. The Stormwing will put us to 5. Alright, we're gonna Fatal Push this. And just go to 5. Hopefully we find an Abrade or a Lightning Bolt. Could have Lava Darted the Sprite Dragon in response, but I mean, I can't really afford to sack a land here. Alright, so let's Abbot first. Again, try and spike a Lightning Bolt. They have 2 cards in their hand. If we Cling to gain 3, we go to 8. 1 bolt would not technically kill us. That would only be 7 damage. We go to 1. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to end up doing here. I'm going to play this land because I don't think I can afford to crack the fetch here. 6, 7, 8. Lava Dart would also kill us. Okay, that is potentially beatable. Especially if they go to put a spell on the stack right now. Because we can respond to the Prowess trigger and we can Lava Dart this. So let's Lava Dart this now. Hopefully they don't have a free spell. Looks like they might. Oh, okay. That worked. Alright, so we're going to eat their creature. We're going to go to 8, and then we're going to go to 1. Still need to find a Lightning Bolt here. Alright, we are at 1. we go. Found the Abrade. I'm going to cast the Cling to Dust to gain 3 first. Alright, I think, depending on what they draw, we might have potentially stabilized. Obviously they have some good top decks, but Arid Mesa's not one of them. Braid, that is fine. I can live with that. So we have to decide between Abbott and Luris. Them at 11? I think it might actually just be better to Luris here, because if they potentially brick off on removal spells for it, we can potentially start gaining some life and sort of pulling away with the game. Abbott could hit a Fatal Push or a Thoughtseize, both of which are pretty awful right now, so I think I'd rather just Luris. Let's see where that goes. Okay, that's a good sign for us. So now we go cast Luris, cast Bauble, play the fetch, and pass. And I think if they brick this turn... Okay, they drew Lava Dart. It's not bad for them. Also, we can just start gaining life with these clings. I'm going to Bauble myself. Lightning Bolt. Yeah, I think I want to draw Lightning Bolt. I think that's not a bad one. Also, it means I don't have to crack this fetch now, which is also nice. Okay, let's play Abbott. Alright, that is obviously a brick. Let's play Swift Spear, attack for 1. I think we're in okay shape, because I don't think there's a single card that can kill us from the top of their deck. Light up the stage. That could be problematic. Lava Dart, Mutagenic Growth. Let's see if they want to cast either, or the Lava Dart now. They're going to dart the Abbott. So I could bolt them now to force a sacrifice of the mountain. That would put them to 5. And then Cling, I would go to 6. No, I think... Actually... I should probably force the sacrifice here, I think. I think it's ultimately worth it. Oh, looks like they have 6'd. No. Okay, well, they're on their end step. They can still do it now. Yeah. Okay, well, now that we're at 3, we do have to cast this Cling now to make sure we don't die to a bolt. They draw... Oh, the game has ended. Okay. I don't know if they drew a Swift Spear, it would have only been 4 damage, so they could have put us to 2. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, that was a pretty good showing of the matchup versus Blue-Red Prowess, which, again, I do think is pretty favorable from the Black-Red perspective. So I'm glad we got to witness that, and I'll see you back for round 3. What's up, YouTube? We're back here for round number 3 of our Modern League with Red-Black Prowess. Looks like we won the die roll this time, so we're going to go ahead and choose to play first. Let's see what we got here. Looks like we have a hand with a threat, a removal spell, and a cantrip, so seems like a fine keep to me. Let's see what happens here. Opponent has also kept 7, and we are off to the races. We're going to lead on Cliffs. attack for 1. Let's see what we're working with here. Another Mishra's Bauble deck. Could be a mirror. Could be some sort of Death Shadow deck. It's unlikely that they are the mirror because they didn't reveal Luris. So, from what I can tell, they bobbled themselves, is that right? They did. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and cash in this Manamorphose here. I think I'm going to add red-black in case I draw a Thoughtseize. Could get punished if I draw another red 1-drop, but I think if I draw a red 1-drop, I can just cast it and then, you know, not have to cast the bolt this turn. Okay, end up drawing a land there. I'm going to hold on to the bolt. I think this is likely getting Fatal Pushed anyways. Yeah, so not like we're going to get the damage out of the bolt regardless. All right, there's another bauble. And they targeted themselves? Yes, they did. Okay, so that looks like Death Shadow to me. Another land here. It's unfortunate that putting Luris into our hand is kind of bad if they have a discard spell, but I don't really think we have any other choices. I don't really want to crack this canyon, and kind of don't have anything else going on here, so we're just going to fetch a mountain to thin the deck a little bit and just kind of hope they don't have a Thoughtseize. It's possible that they had one and just were sandbagging it till I put Luris in my hand. But we'll see. At least if they have Thoughtseize, I do have Kolaghan's Command to get my Luris back, so it's not the end of the world. But, again, we'll see what happens. Godless Shrine. Interesting. Just not expecting that. Okay. Well, I have to kill that immediately. That was actually a very good draw. So now we can go Luris, Bauble, Recast Bauble, and Lightning Bolt this. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's cast Bauble. Let's Bauble them. Drown in the Lock. Alright, I'm actually going to hold on to the other Bauble activation, just in case they have a Thoughtseize. And I want to see the next card they're drawing to get more, you know, maximum information. So they're likely going to drown this, but again, we have the Kolaghan's Command to get it back, so that's not the end of the world. That's bad. Now they're going to take my command and kill my Luris. Alright, let's take a look and see what they're drawing. It's a Thought Scour. And they also have a Gurmag. Kind of looks to me like a Gurmag Angler. They're just fetching main phase. Interesting. So they're not going to draw this Thought Scour. I don't think they had any information of what their top card was. Alright, we're going to go ahead and cast this Abbot first. Abbot was certainly a good draw. I'm just going to play my free land. Actually, we still have some basics to fetch, so we're not out of fetchables quite yet. Let's see what their follow-up is. They still have 5 cards in their hand. And we're kind of running out of gas here. Drew a bit too many lands here. Okay. Well, I'm going to Lava Dart that with the trigger on the stack, and then just let the trigger resolve. I am going to end up killing it. No reason to Lava Dart it now. I can just do it after this phase, end step, or what have you. So they're just going to pass. Alright, I am going to use the other half of this Lava Dart. We have plenty of land, so sacrificing a land, not the biggest deal. I'm going to go ahead and fetch to thin the deck a little bit. Find some action. Not quite. I'm going to sack this now in case I draw a Thoughtseize or a Swift Spear. Attack for 2. See, they have a Snapcaster. Okay. Makes a little bit more sense here. Now they've had 2 cards. They've had some amount of cards for a while now, so I think that might lead me to believe that they have a Stubborn Denial in their hand. Okay, that's not bad. I'm going to Abbot first to see if I find a Thoughtseize, because ideally I would want a Thoughtseize before playing this Fatal Push, because again, we're fairly certain there's a good chance they have a Stubborn Denial in their hand. Could also just be a Drown in the Lock. Even if it's Drown, I think I would rather bait the counterspell with the Abbot, because I'd much rather resolve the Fatal Push. Let's see what they're doing here. Snapcaster Mage. I just realized after I hit OK, I should have pushed this Death Shadow in response to their fetch, because they were... Yeah. Because they would have been at 10 and this would have been a 3/3, so I could have cast this through a Stubborn Denial. Yeah, and now I'm probably going to get punished. Okay, thankfully I didn't get punished. I actually don't think I want to make this trade. I have a lot of removal spells that I can find to kill their Snapcaster Mage. There's a chance they don't block for fear of me having a spell, but I don't really want to take that risk. This is kind of my last threat. Yeah, that was a huge error on my part, not killing a Death Shadow in response to their fetch. Luckily, it didn't come back to matter. Just kind of autopilot hit F2 there. Another Snapcaster. Okay, so they're going to kill my Abbot. I guess now I kind of wish I had traded. I need a good one. That is not quite a good one. I could attack here. They're probably going to block. I think I'm at the point where I kind of want them to block. I don't necessarily want to be the player blocking, because I think I can take a couple more hits. It's not like they're an Esper deck. They don't necessarily have reach like, you know, Lightning Bolt, etc., etc. So I think the trade favors them. Okay, that's sort of step 1 here. I'm going to attack first. I am going to end up pushing one of these now. If they had a Death Shadow, they would have cast it. And get the extra damage here. Okay, that worked. So maybe they drew a Stubborn Denial that they couldn't convert there. Yeah, again, I can go pretty low against their deck knowing that they don't have any reach. So I'm not really forced to be defending here. Looks like they drew a push. Yeah, okay. It's acceptable. Trying to think if there was a different way that I could have sequenced my Lurrus turn. Like I could have theoretically held the Lurrus to wait and see if I eventually drew a copy of Thoughtseize. Well, I can't actually cast that because if I cast Thoughtseize, I'm dead on board. So we just need to find a removal spell. Yeah, it's possible I was supposed to hold on the Lurrus and just... it's tough. I just kind of felt pressured into casting it because my hand was just all lands and a Lurrus. I didn't really have any other action. But this is probably one of those matchups where I'm comfortable playing a very long game against them. Okay. Now I'm not sure we have any outs other than maybe Abbott into a removal spell. What is this? Oh, okay. Interesting. Interesting. We're at 2. I mean, that was a very good card to draw. I don't know if that gets us out of this, though. So we have access to 8 mana. Well, hypothetically, if they have absolutely nothing, we can deal 2 damage to them, get back our Lurrus, play Lurrus, probably play Abbott, have 2 blockers. Abbott can chump block this. Lurrus can block here. Could also kill Snapcaster, or excuse me, kill Tidehollow Sculler, get back Lurrus, play Lurrus. So the out to kill them right now is to deal 2 to them, get back Abbott, and just hope Abbott flips a Lightning Bolt. But I think that their last card might not be great. So I think I'm going to take a little bit of a longer line here. So let's go return. This is close. Because if they just have any removal spell for the Lurrus, I'm dead on board. So maybe I just have to go for the Abbott line. It's tough to say. The issue with getting Lurrus is I have to trade off Lurrus anyways, so if I go Lurrus into Abbott, I'm not getting any value off the Abbott, so I have to go chump block trade, and then I still have to draw Lightning Bolt anyway, so I might as well just get back Abbott. That kills me, right? Block, block, take 2. Okay. Yeah, that's tough. Let's see if my next card down was Lightning Bolts. Because the other line hypothetically gives me 1 more draw step to find Lightning Bolt, but I'm in the exact same spot anyways, where I have to chump block with, well, trade off the Lurrus, chump block with the other creature, then they're at 3, and I still need to draw Lightning Bolt anyways, so. Alright, so against the Lurrus mirror, I definitely want Spell Bombs, definitely like the Croxa. Could potentially have this Collected Brutality. Interesting. So they're like Esper, Death, Shadow. Typically against Shadow, we can trim on Metamorphose. You're not really trying to be like hyper beatdown against them. Like I said, you're much more comfortable playing a long game. And then I typically like to cut Lava Darts. I actually don't mind Brutality because they have Luris and Tidehollow Sculler, so that's actually two premier targets for the -2/-2, so let's do that. I think I'd rather have the versatility of Brutality than Lava Dart. Okay, so this hand has just a few too many lands here. Let's mulligan. I'm much more inclined to keep a hand like this. Like, I'm actually going to put back this Seal of Fire. I have enough things that go with my Luris anyways. Seal of Fire doesn't normally... I guess it kills Tidehollow Sculler and potentially Luris. But I kind of want both the cantrips to make sure I hit land drops. So it's between the Seal and the Cling. I want both the threats and both the baubles. It's actually kind of close. This is also another cantrip if I miss on land on the baubles. It's better against their Luris draws as well. Yeah, I'm going to put back the Seal. Now, the question is, what one-drop do I lead with? Now, normally I would lead with Soulscar Mage. However, I am basically priced into casting one of these baubles because I need to... I'm going to cast one of them. I don't think I'm going to cast both to try and hit my land drop next turn. Because of that, I actually end up netting the damage this turn by playing Swift Spear. So hypothetically, I would play Soulscar Mage, Bauble. Next turn, get in no damage. Next turn, play Swift Spear, Bauble, get in for 4. I guess it's the same either way, but this guarantees I get in the extra damage because they might Thoughtseize the... Like, let's say I play Soulscar, they Thoughtseize the Swift Spear, then I miss a point of damage that way. So I'm just going to play the Swift Spear here. And I'm going to bauble them on their upkeep. Again, to protect the extra card from their Thoughtseize. Let's see what they're drawing. Mishra's Bauble. Okay, not a lot of information there. Oh, they just skipped their first turn. That's unfortunate. Discarded a Hex Parasite. Okay, well now we definitely just want to get the beatdowns going here, especially because we missed a land drop. Alright, same thing, we're going to bauble them on their upkeep. Alright, Bauble, Unearth. Alright, so main phase Fatal Push, and they're casting a Bauble, which targeted me, I believe. No, they targeted themselves. Okay, Thoughtseize. I'd like a land here. That's good. So now I think I'm just going to play Thoughtseize and then a second threat. Interesting. So what I could do here is I could take Death Shadow and just play Soulscar Mage and not attack. The issue with attacking is, let's say I take Death Shadow, attack them for 2, they go to 11. Then they can just unearth the Death Shadow back. So, I mean, I guess if they draw a fetch land, they can put Death Shadow into play either way. It's very close. Could also just take Fatal Push. Could take Fatal Push and not attack. It's very close here. I think I'm going to go with my first line. Take Death Shadow, play Soulscar, not attack. Just make them, you know, find a land drop to be able to cast this Death Shadow, or to cast this Unearth. Okay, well they can play a 1/1. Or they can cast Celestial Purge. I assume they're going to Fatal Push plus Unearth this turn, though. Yeah. Maybe they hold the Unearth? Oh, they are casting it. Okay. So their 3 cards are Purge, Ranger Captain, and Thought Scour. Okay, well, I'm going to cycle this first. Just to try and draw a Fatal Push. I boarded out the Lava Darts, but Fatal Push, Seal of Fire, Lightning Bolt, any of those would be good. Could have just put Lurrus in my hand there. Maybe that was better. Alright, I'm going to cycle this other one as well, again, just to try and hit a Lightning Bolt. Just going to remove their only sorcery. I don't know if it matters. Okay, not quite. I am actually going to attack here. It makes it so I can't attack next turn, but now that this attack gets through, their attacks are pretty awkward. Because I understand they can Celestial Purge, but they go to 8th, and they have to be a little bit worried about dying. And they're a deck that doesn't have Team or Battle Rage, so I can very easily get to a spot where I can just start chump blocking. Okay, understandable. Interesting. Let's play our land first, just so I can leave 2 black sources untapped. Actually, what if I just unearth a creature and put Lurrus into my hand? So I cast Unearth, 1 Prowess trigger, attack them for 2, and put Lurrus into my hand. That doesn't work because their Death Shadow is a 7/7, and I have to go to 7 to do that, so I can't do that. They have Ranger Captain, Thought Scour, X. Putting Lurrus into my hand is really good, though. Just because it allows me to get multiple blockers into play. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put Lurrus in my hand. What if I attack first? They go to 7. 7, 6, 5. I could attack them for 1. No, that's the same thing. Just debating on whether or not I want to cast this Unearth. It's really close. Because I could go put Lurrus into my hand, Unearth a Soul Scar, and then plan on chump blocking, but that's bad if they just drew a Fatal Push. So what if I just unearth the Soul Scar Mage, go to 7, put Lurrus into my hand, and attack with nothing? I think I'm going to do that. Just to make it so I'm not dead to any removal spell. This is bad if they draw Thoughtseize, because now I don't have the Unearth to get Lurrus back. Okay, Mishra's Bauble, targeting me. These games against Death Shadow decks are usually very close. They usually come down to the wire. So if I don't block, I'm dead to Street Wraith. The other issue with not blocking is they can take 1, put me to 1, and then I can't tap my Sunbaked Canyon, so I think I should block here. Yeah, maybe I wasn't supposed to cast that on Earth. I wanted 2 blockers back. Yeah, I guess I wasn't supposed to cast that on Earth. If I was leaving this back, there was probably no reason to cast it. That was probably just bad. Yeah, we really need a Fatal Push here. Okay, so now I can Thought Seize them. We know they have a Celestial Purge. Oh, they already cast the Purge. My apologies. Alright, we're going to take the Ranger Captain. We don't care about the Thoughtseize. And then I'm actually just going to play a Swift Spear, attack them for 2, and then jump block. If they draw a Fatal Push, they draw a Fatal Push, but... yeah, casting that on Earth was not the best. I had just... the way that I had planned the turnout is I had planned on attacking, and I wanted the other blocker back. But once I'm not attacking, I don't actually need a blocker because I wouldn't have died to Fatal Push anyways. Yeah, we're still not going to play around a removal spell. Now we can attack Chump Block with the Soulscar Mage. Then if we draw a Lightning Bolt, we actually win because they're going to be at 5. Again, can't really beat a removal spell here. The way that I played this game. Sacking the Canyon. Okay. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I messed up pretty bad with that on Earth. There was just no reason to cast it. Not really sure what I was thinking there, but yeah, I mean, unfortunate. Our opponent, you know, missed their land drop for a whole bunch of turns, but yeah, that was unfortunate. Well, at least you get to see a little bit of sort of how the games versus Death Shadow play out, even if we did, or I did make that small mistake there. But stay tuned, and we'll be back for round 4. What's up, YouTube? Here we are for round number 4. Currently 1-2, not the best start to a league. So let's see if we can go ahead and rebound here. So we are on the draw, and what do we have? We have a pretty good hand. A couple of threats, couple of removal spells. Nothing to complain about. So we're definitely going to go ahead and keep this hand. It appears to be another Prowess mirror match of sorts. Not necessarily, could be mono red, could be blue red, could be black red. So in general, you want the matchup. This is a matchup where you can play the long game. So I want to kill their creature. Just debating on whether I want to use push or seal. If I use seal, they could have a gut shot or mutagenic growth. The issue with playing Swamp Push is I can't double spell on turn 2. So I actually think I'm just going to seal. If they have a Gut Shot, or I have to do it now because they could untap and have Lightning Bolt or Burst Lightning. If they have a Gut Shot or a Mutagenic, it's kind of annoying, but it just, you know, just get to use my mana more efficiently this way. And it's 1 less damage I take on their turn, so I think this is okay. Alright, so fetch. Let's see what land they get, if it's a basic or a shock. Okay, so it appears to be mono red. Another creature is not the best for us. So it looks like they have a light up the stage. Yeah, that is exactly the case. Lava Dart and a mountain. Okay. Alright, I don't think I can afford to not kill one of these this turn, so I think I'm just going to play a Swift Spear, a Bauble. Gonna Bauble them to see what they're drawing. Metamorphose. Alright, so I'm just going to push their Soul Scar now to get in the extra point. I'm going to go ahead and attack for 3. Ideally, we'd like to draw another removal spell, Bolt, Push, any of... Yeah, that is a good one. So, you know, they have a Metamorphose in their hand, which it looks like they are going to cast. They're up to 3 spells towards... Ooh, they have blue mana. Okay. So not necessarily mono red. Interesting they didn't fetch a Steam Vents with the Wooded Foothills on turn 2. If they are indeed playing blue. Looks like we're getting Lava Darted. Now the question is, do they want to flash it back as well? They are playing blue. Okay. I'm really interested as to why they didn't get a Steam Vents on turn 2. And they bottomed. Looks to me like they're going to hold the Lava Dart up. They are. Okay. Alright, so our Kolaghan's Command is no good to kill this. So now what I'm going to do is probably just cast Soul Scar Mage and then Lightning Bolt. Soul Scar first in case they have a mutagenic growth, because this would go to 5 toughness, but then it would get 3 -1/-1 counters, so they would still die on their turn. So, I end up losing out on some damage with the Swift Spear, but I think that's okay, just playing around mutagenic growth. Again, want to main phase it, so if they have, like, say they have a bolt in their hand, they could hypothetically bolt this in response, and then Lava Dart me, and the Swift Spear would have 4 toughness, so that's why I did that in my main phase. Sacking their Islets. Okay, so we know they have Lava Dart, so we can't really block here. I mean, we could hypothetically block to maybe bait the Lava Dart out and then hope they don't have a spell, which would allow us to Kolaghan's Command the Swift Spear, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to take the damage. Looks like they're going to... Oh. Are we dead? Bolt would put us to 6. Yeah, Bolt would kill us. It's like no Bolt. Okay, so they definitely don't have a spell in their hand. Yeah, well now we just kind of have to get a little lucky here. So I'm going to actually just kill this and return the Swift Spear to my hand. And just kind of hope to dodge here. I mean, we go to 2. We're dead to any burn spell anyways. That's not something we can really play around. Okay, that's a redraw. Alright, yeah, we're dead. Alright, a little unfortunate there. I think we sort of lost the game on turn 1 when we went for the Seal of Fire. It's just the fact that we had this basic swamp. If this was a Blood Crypt, I would have played this game a lot differently, but I really wanted to make sure I could double spell on turn 2, and ultimately just got punished for taking that line. Alright, for sideboarding, we're going to bring in a Braid. We're going to bring in the Brutality. And I believe that's all we did. Last time we cut the Kolaghan's Command, the Kroxa, and I think we cut one of the Thoughtseizes, if I remember correctly. So let's go ahead and do that again. And we'll submit that. Alright, we're going to be on the play for game number 2. There's that basic swamp again, just tormenting us. This hand doesn't have any removal spells, but it does have multiple threats and multiple cantrips. I mean, I can't imagine I'm supposed to mulligan this hand. Our deck has a high density of removal spells that, you know, there's a good chance that we can just find them off of these cantrips. I am going to Swift Spear into the Bauble, and likely Bauble on their upkeep. Main phase versus upkeep doesn't matter a ton against a deck without discard spells, but... Alright, they revealed the Lava Dart. It's a good one to know about. See if they're playing a threat or killing our threat. Looks like they're deciding. Okay. That's fine. Let's yield to this. Fatal Push. So normally I don't love running out these Abbots, because again, you are the control deck, and you want to, as far as this matchup is concerned, you want to get as much out of your cards. Like, you want the game to go along, essentially. I think what I might do is just cast Metamorphose first. And just do red-black in case I draw Thoughtseize. And I think I'm actually just going to pass. I could cycle this Cling to Dust. That's probably worth it in case I find a 1-drop. I hit those in the wrong order. That's fine. As long as they don't have Metamorphose Stormwing. Okay, that's fine. I can live with that. Alright, we'll go ahead and take 2. Let's see what we find. Okay, so... I think because I already have a good play lined up, like, let's say, for example, I cast Abbot and I hit a 1-mana creature, Soulscar or Swiftspear. I would play it, but I don't necessarily want to. I kind of want to just Thoughtseize to see if they have an entity, because they could have an entity but no free spell. So I think I'm going to Thoughtseize them and then just Fatal Push this. And then we'll go ahead and start Abboting next turn. So they did have a free spell, but they didn't have a creature to cast it on. I see. Alright, well, we're going to easily take this Stormwing. And then we're going to play Cliffs, and I'm going to say go. I find it highly unlikely that they would have boarded in Spell Pierce in this matchup. Okay, so we know they drew Mountain. Okay, they're going to cast Lava Dart. That is acceptable. We're not going to take any actions. If they want to cast some more spells, that's fine. Well, we're not going to take any actions yet. Alright, so they have 2 cards. We know that they are a Mutagenic and a Bedlam Reveler. I think I'm just going to go ahead and push this now. Could take 2 damage. And then when we go to play Abbot, if they Lava Dart in response, we could then push this to get this up to a 3-2. But I mean, if they want to trade lands for my Abbots, that I am perfectly fine with. Because the other thing about them sacking their Lava Darts to cash in on the Abbots is they're even farther away from Reveler, because these would get exiled from their graveyard. So I don't think they're going to end up doing that. Alright, so let's cast an Abbot before playing our lands. Alright, we got a free Bauble. I will take that. The question is, do we want to deploy this other Abbot? I don't think we do. I think I just want to do the Bauble fetch land trick here. Sure. Interesting. So they are just basically giving up on this Bedlam Reveler, which I don't mind. Well, if that's the point, they should. If that's the case, they probably should just shove this Mutagenic Growth too. Alright, I'll take 2. Accept that. Alright, so let's bobble ourselves. Looking for a removal spell. Bloodstained Mire. We definitely don't want to draw that. Interesting. We know they have Mutagenic in their hand, and we know they have a Lava Dart in their graveyard. So if I cling the Lava Dart... Oh, they just conceded? Not really sure what that's all about, but okay. Any changes on the draw? No, we'll go ahead and submit it again. Not really sure what that was about. Interesting. Alright, so we will reveal our Luris. Oh yeah, this hand is exactly where we want to be. They mulliganed. We are definitely going to keep this. Looks like they kept on 6. They have a turn 1 Swift Spear. So the question is, how do we want to play this? In general, when I'm on the draw, I don't want to lead on creatures. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to cast Mishra's Bauble. I'm going to target myself. There's an Abbot of Carol Keep. I am a little light on lands, but Abbot might give me the opportunity to hit my 3rd land drop, so I think I'm going to draw that. So what I'm going to do is play the 2nd Bauble, play Bloodstained Mire, and we're going to pass. We're going to draw the Abbot, and then we're going to fetch, get basic Swamp, and then just Fatal Push their Swift Spear. No real reason to do it right now, but... Maybe I should get Blood Crypt here. Let's see what they do. Okay. So it looks like they're going to play a Stormwing Entity here. Yeah. Okay, that resolves. We're going to let them scry first before we show that we have a Fatal Push. They went bottom top. I want to see what they topped. They topped a Manamorphose. Okay. Alright, let's go ahead and cast this Fatal Push. Think. Interesting as to what land I want to get here. They have 2 cards in their hand. I think I'm actually fine getting a Blood Crypt. Just want to make sure we have enough red sources to... because we have a lot of red cards, so... I mean, they already cast the free spell. They obviously could have another gut shot in their hand, but I'm still just going to go ahead and cast this Abrade. Like, you don't have very many ways to kill Stormwing Entity, so I think when you have opportunities like this, you kind of just have to go for it, because obviously if you let them untap, it just gets worse, so... And they have a Manamorphose in their hand, which I'm okay with. Unless they have another Stormwing. Oh, looks like they are off of it. Okay. I mean, you know, there's a good chance that we were going to be able to pretty easily breeze through this game. Well, we would have actually missed some land drops for a couple turns, but I'm not sure how much it would have ended up mattering. Our hand was just all juiced up. But yeah, that was round number 4, so currently 2-2. We're going to go ahead and look to get the classic 3-2 at the next round, so I'll see you then. What is up, YouTube? Here we are back for the final round of our Modern League with Red Black Prowess. We are currently 2-2. Go ahead and see if we can get this last W here. Currently on the draw. And what do we have here? So, our opponent has mulliganed to 6 cards. This hand is close because, so it does have a removal spell. It has a, bobble fetch land trick, so it's, I equate that to cantrip plus, right? Like it's worth a little bit more than an extra card. We're a little bit more above than replacement level. But then we have this Unearth and this Cling to Dust, which may or may not be good. If we end up drawing a threat and they kill it, then Unearth is going to be a little bit, pretty good. But this hand is close. I think in general, I'm actually kind of okay keeping these hands. Again, this isn't necessarily an all-in aggro deck like your normal Prowess decks. This is a deck that is aiming to play a little bit more of a long game, and that's exactly what this hand does. So I think I'm okay keeping it. So they stayed on 6. Looks like we have another Wooded Foothills. I hope this is Dredge. Alright, Abbott is not a horrible draw. So, why don't we just... I think I'm actually just going to play Bauble, Bloodstained Mire. I guess I should main phase this Bauble to see, like, let's say, for example, the top card is a Swiss Spear or Soulscar Mates. That's kind of what I'm looking for. And if my top card is good, I can play Blackcleave Cliffs. If not, I can just fetch for an untapped Blood Crypt. It's tough because they could be on Dredge, in which case I'd want to hold up Cling, or they could be on Ponza, in which case I might want to fetch a basic Swamp with this. So it's pretty tough to figure out how to sequence with this hand. Again, we don't really have any information on our opponent's deck other than Wooded Foothills, which, as we said last time, could be a wide range of things. In any case, I'm going to play this Bauble. I think I am going to Bauble myself, because I definitely don't want lands. It's a Lightning Bolt. That's a close one. I think I'm actually okay drawing Lightning Bolt. I'm just going to play Bloodstained Mire and pass. I don't want to cast Seal of Fire, because again, if they are Dredge, I want to make sure I hold up Cling to Dust on turn 1. Ultimate disaster would be we cast Seal of Fire, then they just go Cathartic Reunion, go nuts, and that would not be good. Okay, so we'll draw the bolts. It could also be Jund. If that's the case, Lightning Bolt's not the greatest card. Looks like they are Jund. Okay. Yep, certainly Jund now. Wrenn and 6. Sure. I'm just going to go ahead and Cling whatever land they target. I can just fetch a Blood Crypt here. I just fetch a basic Swamp, but then I can't cast 2 red spells on turn 2. Alright, they targeted the Wooded Foothills, so we will target that as well. Interesting. So I could Seal plus Bolt the Wrenn and 6. I could Soulscar Seal pass. I don't necessarily want to cast the Abbott here, because this is a matchup where I'd much rather have the extra card off the Abbott. I think I'm just going to go ahead and kill this Wrenn and 6. We are 2-for-1ing ourselves, but we're also making it so they don't get any card advantage out of their Wrenn and 6. So I think, I'm okay with that. Scavenging Ooze. That is... okay. It'll push is a very good draw. So if I cast Abbot... I mean, ideally I would want to play my Mountain first so I could also Fatal Push this turn, and I don't necessarily want to do that. Like, for example, I play Mountain, Abbot, hold up the Fatal Push, I hit a land, I don't get the card off of it. So I think I'm actually just going to play Soulscar Mage and hold on this Abbot for one more turn. I'm just going to say go. Alright, well, I'm going to respond to that and just Fatal Push this. So they can't eat a card in response. I want to make sure I get keep my Cling and then all my Lurrus targets as well. They're going to cast Lightning Bolt. I'm okay with that. That is fine. I think they might have fetched there, not realizing their Ooze was going to die. Maybe they thought they got a black source and they have Fatal Push in their hand. Not really sure what that was. Excuse me. Looks like they're just passing. Okay, so I think this is going to be an Abbot turn. I'm going to do it pre-combat in case we hit a bobble for this. Well, I'll go ahead and take the free land here. Just attack for one. Sure. I'm not going to unearth that. I'd rather unearth the Abbot if they kill that. Get a little bit more value out of it that way. Is a Bloodbraid Elf? Looks like it is. That's fine. Kroxa. We have Cling to Dust for that, so I'm not too worried about that. I can just discard this Blackcleave Cliffs. I think I'm actually just going to trade for the Bloodbraid Elf now. I kind of want it in my graveyard anyways for the Unearth and the Lurrus. Yeah, I think I am A-okay with that trade. We're just going to eat the Kroxa this turn anyways. They also can't currently flash it back, but I'm not going to take the chance of them just not drawing a land. So I can unearth the Abbot first. The issue with unearthing the Abbot first is, let's say I hit a 1-drop. I don't necessarily want to cast the 1-drop because I really still just want to flash back this Cling because I only have 5 mana this turn. So I think I'm just going to save the unearth for next turn. Again, you don't really need to be aggressive in this matchup. Again, we can just play a little bit of a longer game here. We could hold up the Cling, but if they draw just like a natural shock land that casts it instead of a fetch land, I can't respond to the fetch land. You know, I can't respond to the shock land, them playing the shock land and exiling the Kroxa, so they'd be able to put it on the stack before I have any chance to respond. And that would be a disaster. But yeah, honestly, a lot of the ways that these games typically play out, you're basically both a Jund deck. Like, this is way more of a mid-range deck than an aggro deck. This black-red deck. Next turn, we may or may not put Lurrus in our hand. We might just unearth Abbot, play Abbot from hand, depending on what we hit off the Abbot, but also depends on what they're doing. Looks like opponent is deep in the tank. I assume this is a Kolaghan's command? Liliana of the Veil. Interesting. Well, I'm just going to discard this Abbot, because Unearth is essentially the same thing as Abbot, but it's just one less mana. Okay. Discarding a Thoughtseize. Okay. That's a card we can easily discard to this Liliana. So let's go ahead and unearth the Abbot. Let's cast a Monastery Swiftspear. Let's attack Liliana for 1. And we're going to go ahead and put Lurrus into our hand. And we're going to hold this land so we can discard that to the Liliana. As long as they don't have another discard spell, we should be good to go. This line is a little bit worse if they have a discard spell, because obviously we could have held the Unearth to get our Lurrus back, but... I wonder if they have Kolaghan's Command, and they were debating on whether or not to cast Liliana or Kolaghan's Command last turn. That's a possibility. Looks like they don't. Or do they have Croaks as their last card? Oh, that's not good. That's about worst possible. Usually these Jund decks only play one Croxa, so... kind of surprised to see a second one. It's not something I would normally play around. I really need a Fatal Push here. It's not a bad card. It's not really good enough, though. Three. We could deal 2 to Liliana and get back Lurrus. I don't know if I really see a way out of this. I mean, obviously we can cycle the Cling to Dust and try and spike a Fatal Push. But outside of that, this Kolaghan's Command's not really getting us anywhere. I mean, we could deal 2 to Liliana and return Abbot. Play Abbot. Then we're tapped out. Even if we hit Fatal Push, we can't cast it. Alright, I think what I'm supposed to do is just cast this Cling. Again, just trying to spike a Fatal Push. I think it might be our only way out of this. I want to leave in the graveyard for this Lurrus. My guess would be Seal of Fire. I think that's probably our only way out if we do eventually get this Lurrus back. Any Fatal Pushes? No such luck. Alright, we're just going to say go. We're going to take a chunk from this Croxa, discard the Swamp. We're going to go to 7. Oh, I should have played the Swamp, because they're just going to make us discard both of our cards anyways. Yeah. Alright, take that. I mean, Fatal Push and we are good to go, but outside of that, it's going to be pretty difficult. Oh, they're minusing. That's interesting. Yep, and I got very punished for not playing that land last turn. That was very bad. Alright, I guess I still have one more shot at drawing a Fatal Push here. It's my only out. I mean, I'm not technically dead, but... Oh, no, I am, because they minus here. I guess I got a 1, right? They minus the Liliana, I discard this. I guess hypothetically I could draw a Fatal Push next turn, maybe have a shot. Unlikely, but... I guess I could have just attacked Liliana and just went to 1 that way. That's probably just better. I mean, at this point, I should just go to 1. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't attack. Well, it probably didn't matter anyways. I can kill Goyf, kill Liliana, but yeah, we're dead. We are dead. I lost that game because I didn't play that swamp. That's unfortunate. Alright, well, this matchup just gets even... this matchup is very good, and it gets even better after sideboarding. We get another Kroxa and some spell bombs, and we get to cut some of the less impactful cards. These are both pretty bad. Of the two, I think I'm okay keeping in... I guess 1 mana Morphos is okay. Sure. Alright, let's go ahead and play first. Let's reveal our Luris. This hand is no good. This hand has no threat. I really don't like going to 6 cards against them. This matchup is just all about... more about card quality than card quantity. I think I'm actually going to keep this and bottom the Unearth. I'm going to get Blood Crypt on turn 1. Leave myself the option to get Basic Mountain or Basic Swamp. That is quite the hand. Now I'm just going to take Lightning Bolt. Interesting. Okay, there's the Raging Ravine. Looking for a creature. I mean, that card just doesn't even do anything. Just gonna play Seal of Fire. Play Bloodstained Mire, pass. There's no point in casting that. I mean, I guess if they drew exactly Tarmogoyf, I get punished, but... looks like they did not. Alright, let's crack this on end of turn. Cling to dust. I still don't think I want to cast this. I don't necessarily want to put Luris in my hand either. I think I'm going to end up saving that for later. Okay, let's just play Canyon Pass. Alright, and I played the Verdant. That's fine, we're just going to discard Thoughtseize. I expect them to discard a Liliana. They discarded Forest, that is interesting. And we're just going to cycle this Cling to Dust. I guess we should exile the Bolt in case we can potentially exile the rest of our... I guess we would end up having the Cling anyways. I'm trying to think about Tarmogoyf down the road. So another hand is 2 Lilianas, 2 Unknowns. So, man, I think what I'm going to do this turn is this. So let's say I put Luris in my hand, play Mountain, discard Fatal Push. They play second Liliana, make me discard the Bolt. Second Liliana goes to 4. Then the turn after I seal it, cast Luris, flashback the seal, cast it, and they have one more Liliana, which they Edict. Yeah, I think that's actually okay with me. I'm supposed to take a point there to hold up Fatal Push. I mean, they're not going to play Tarmogoyf before plussing their Liliana, though, is the thing. And I'm going to discard Fatal Push no matter what. I'm surprised they discarded their land last turn instead of the third Liliana. Alright, still in the same plan, discarding this Fatal Push. I think there's a decent chance they might just play another Liliana this turn. As long as we dodge a discard spell, should be in a somewhat decent spot, or at least at parity. We're both going to be pretty hell-bent. Okay, there goes Liliana. I'm just going to pass. So we know they still have one more Liliana. So I could end of turn, bolt their Liliana, put it to 2, untap, sacrifice Seal of Fire, kill that Liliana, play Luris, play the seal, and then pass. Then they Liliana Edict my Luris, I seal the Liliana, and then we both have nothing. Except they have a Raging Ravine, which is a bit of an issue. What if I don't bolt the Liliana? The issue with not bolting the Liliana is then they plus it, play the other Liliana, and then I still lose my Luris either way. So I think I'm supposed to bolt this here. Okay, that is an amazing draw. So we're gonna, yeah. Now this ends up working out a lot better. And honestly, now they're incentivized to plus their Liliana. Especially if they have a removal spell. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess they can just then minus the Liliana when I flash back the Croxa. Oh, they're just going to Raging Ravine this turn. I like that. I think that's actually better for me. Oh, no, they're going to Liliana. Okay. Okay, that's actually fine. So I can seal the Liliana, flashback Croxa, 9, 8. Then I would have 3 cards left in my... I'd have 4 with the seal. The issue with that play is then they just minus the Liliana at 2. I sacrifice the Croxa, then they get in with the Goyf and the Ravine. So I'm going to take a damage from the Canyon, go to 11. Now, how small can I make this Goyf with escaping? So they have land instant Planeswalker. And I have 2 sorceries and a creature. 2 after... Well, 2, but 1 after the Croxa goes away. So I could make their Goyf a 3/4. I'd have to exile the seal too. I think that's okay. So let's do this. I'm going to seal the Liliana now because I actually want to eat the seal to make sure their Goyf stays small. So I'm going to seal the Liliana. And I'm going to flashback Croxa. So we're going to exile sorcery, sorcery, creature, enchantment. And then the last one doesn't really matter all that much. Now what they're going to do is they're going to Edict the Liliana and hit us for 7. We're going to go to 4. I guess... Actually, now I don't know if we have any outs, because now if we flash back the Croaks again, even if we draw, let's say, a fetch land, we're going to take 7 damage this turn. We're going to go to 4. The fetch land would put us to 3. Canyon would put us to 2. We'd be able to block the Ravine, and the Goyf would still be lethal. So I'm actually not... I guess maybe we were supposed to just Abbot then. Oh, it's 8, right? Because because that put the creature in the graveyard. If we had Abboted last turn, we would have hit Bolt, which we still would not have been able to kill the Goyf with. I mean, now, even if we draw Fatal Push, we can Fatal Push this, but the Ravine is still lethal. I don't actually think we have any outs. I'll go ahead and Abbot just in case I'm missing something. Thoughtseize is certainly not going to do it. Alright. Yeah, we are definitely dead. GG's. Bit unfortunate at the end there. I mean, I do think the Jund matchup is heavily favorable. I think that I'm not really sure what to think there. A little bit of unluckiness, a little bit of maybe I sequenced a little bit poorly. But yeah, I mean, the games at least are certainly always interesting, and there's a lot of back and forth and a lot of play to it. So yeah, thank you guys very much, and we'll be back in just a little bit for the wrap up. What is up, YouTube? We're back here for a little wrap-up. So we ended up going 2-3 in the league. Obviously, not the best showing. I mean, a lot of the games that we played were pretty close. I think there were some decisions that maybe could have been made a little bit differently that would have possibly given us a little bit more opportunity there. But I mean, overall, I'm still very happy with the deck, even with the poor showing. I still do believe that this deck is one of the best decks in Modern. I've seen some other versions floating around that have a more of an aggressive slant with 4 Lava Darts, 4 Metamorphoses. Essentially, they just cling to dust, and they're also playing Kiln Fiend main deck. I don't particularly like that version. I think that if you're going to play the black cards, I mean, honestly, I think the best reason to play this deck is Cling to Dust. I think, Cling to Dust is in a very good spot right now, again, with all the Uro piles rolling around, and there's just a lot of things that are, focusing on the graveyard, and Cling to Dust just gives you a massive advantage in certain matchups, and specifically, like, game one against Dredge, you're almost, like, you're pre-sideboarded against them, and, against Uro decks and all that, so I do believe that this is the better version of the Red-Black Prowess deck. And this would be what I would register if I was going to play a Modern event this weekend. Maybe the sideboard needs a little bit of tuning, depending on what expected metagame you play. Obviously, we didn't play against big mana, so most of our sideboard didn't come up because that's what we're geared towards. So maybe if big mana is on the decline, you can maybe trim on Molten Rain or trim on Infernal Reckoning. Those are the cards that are obviously more directly targeted towards those decks. And maybe work on, maybe add a third Spell Bomb, maybe another Kolaghan's Command, stuff like that to help you in the more grindy matchups. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I do appreciate it. Once again, the links for my Twitch stream and all of my socials will be in the link in the comment section below, as well as an MTG Goldfish link to the deck list if you want a text file or visual view, anything like that. And once again, thank you for sticking with me. And we'll be back next time.